Dave, can you talk to Nathan Haas's first game after not playing in a long, long time, and what you see his role in your team being?
Yeah, he was really solid. Really pleased with where he was at. He looked like he had good energy. He's a smart player, quick player, and he came in and I thought he played a solid game for us. Really solid.
And do you see him with more offensive upside? I mean, he's been a fourth line NHL player. Do you see him with more offensive upside?
Yeah, I think he looks more comfortable this year. He looks a lot more confident in what he's doing. So I think that will lead to some more offensive chances. We had him on the penalty kill last night with Archibald. I thought he did a really good job there. So he'll continue in that role a little bit. But I think there is some upside on the puck side for him, and the growing confidence. I think you'll see more of that.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
If any player is going to get 100 points this year, they're going to need 1.8 points per game. That was only done by 4 guys back in the days when everybody scored a ton. Is it possible?
I said, somebody asked the same question last night, and you know what? The games are going to get tighter. You're a short schedule. The games are going to get tight. You get a game like that that's kind of we got some bounces early and got up in a game, so you start thinking like that. But think about how the games are going to go. The last 30 or 40 games here is going to get tight, and every game's going to be like a playoff game. So people running around and scoring a bunch of points in the game is probably not going to be the norm. So
when you
they're great players. They're phenomenal players. I hope they do it, but I would say that I would tend to think that the games will tighten up a little bit.
That's fair. And you have 2 guys like that, all the records were set by great players who had a great player playing with them. Is the sum of the parts even greater when you have 2 guys that can play together on the power play like that?
Well, they certainly have great chemistry together. They're top players. You get players like that together. They're both creative. They both find ways to. What they do is they find ways to beat people, and then that creates openings for them. And you get two of them going at once. It's hard to defend. So they look for each other a lot, but they've got a lot of help around there too. So they're top players that they want to play at a high level, and they can execute at a high level, and you like when they get the results that they do.
Chris Rupp, NHL.com.
Hi, Dave. Draisaitl had 6 assists last night. Kahun scored, and on the other side, Stützle had a goal as well. Would you say that we see the brightest of German hockey right now in the NHL?
Yeah, they're certainly great players. And the young Stützle kid looks like a really good player coming. So I'm not sure what they're doing in the minor hockey leagues over in Germany, but it must be producing some real top talent, because we're fortunate enough to have a couple of them here, and young Stützle looks like he's a real good player, so it speaks very well for hockey in Germany.
And on your team, what would you say is the special thing about the chemistry between Kahun and Draisaitl?
Well, I think they're really good friends. They've played together a long time. Kahun has a real quickness and hounds pucks, makes good plays. Leon is so big and strong; he holds the puck. So they've worked very well together so far.
And just one more on Leon. He always used to produce, but now he has got a plus 10 rating, and last season it was a -7. So what did he improve to his game that he's a plus 10 right now? And what did his line mates contribute, maybe?
Well, his line's been pretty good. They've the one thing about them, they've produced offensively to get some pluses, and Leon came in with a real mindset that he's going to really try to be a strong two-way player, and he's put a lot of time and energy into that, and it's showing the results.
Michael Trakos, Post Media.
Hey Dave, I know a lot of the attention's going on Connor and Leon and how many points they're putting up this year so far. I'm just wondering, in terms of the overall depth, are you getting enough out of your third and fourth lines, and is there a way to kind of find that kind of secret formula where they can at least contribute in a secondary role?
Well, they're starting to come. I think we've starting to see a little more of it. It's interesting when you look at stats of different teams. We're a little bit of a hybrid because we've got those three guys that play the majority of power play, and that's just the way that we go. Like there's teams that have two designated power play units, and we have two units. The one unit just takes the majority of the time. It's a minute and 40 or a minute and 45. So you got some secondary players there that aren't getting the same opportunity on the power play where they chip in some points. So it's a little bit of a hybrid, but our bottom, the secondary scoring, I think, is starting to come along a little bit, and hopefully it keeps moving in that direction.
Just a follow-up question, like what do you say to the critics who say, it looks like the same old in Edmonton, where, Connor and Leon, they might end up with 200 plus points, but it doesn't matter if this team doesn't get that sort of, well-balanced attack that can help them go deep in the playoffs.
It's about winning. It's about winning, right? Like I'm way more concerned about keeping the puck out of our net and defending right. And we need there's a lot of that the bottom part of the lineup has a lot of say in. So you take a player like Archibald, like he's a great penalty killer. We need players like that too. And so the balance just isn't all about scoring all the time. It's about winning, and that's what we're trying to do around here. Connor and Leon have to do their part, both offensively and defensively. But to win, you have to be able to defend and have people that do different roles other than just score. So. The perception of our team in the media might be those guys get all the headlines, but we're trying to build a good team that can be competitive and win the playoffs.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Alex Chason on waivers, what have you seen from this so far this year? And the other question I have for you, how much longer can Bouchard sit without playing a game?
First of all, with Chase, that's strictly a way that we have to use our taxi squad to maneuver some things around. And Chase was, he was a really good player in the game last night, but we just have to have flexibility in our lineup with 8 defensemen on our current roster. It just gives us flexibility in there. And that flexibility is something that will help Bouchard get off the taxi, because we've had some situations where we can't get him on our roster. So that answers a little bit of both of your questions.
So Bouchard might play tomorrow?
We're going to try to get him in pretty soon, yeah.
Okay, and is it, I know before the season started you said, this guy's a really good prospect, I got to get him in some games to see if he's an NHL player. With all the defensemen, I guess it's been difficult, but he's a young defenseman, and I know in Montreal the same thing's going on with that Victor Mete. He can't get in the lineup, and he's a good player. With the young defensemen, you have to, you want to play them, but you got lots of defensemen as well who also want to play.
Jim, I should have used you to go to the NHL and politic for at least some exhibition games, and then it would have helped the whole situation, So we come in, we came in, and you just don't have a lot of time. You got to get your team up and going. And we do have a lot of defensemen. We've got 9 defensemen around here right now and 8 on the roster. So to put Bouchard on the roster, that means you got 9 on the roster. So you got, you got a minimum of 12 forwards, or maximum of 12 forwards. So there's a balancing act that goes into it. If Bouch would have had 3 or 4 exhibition games to get up and going and taken somebody's job, then he might be playing more. But right now we haven't had the ability to get him in there. The good thing about it, he's played a bunch of hockey this year over in Europe. So when he comes back in, I think it's not as if he hasn't played since last year.
Paul Gazzolo, Oilers TV.
Hey Dave, coming back to Leon and Dominic, I noticed Leon has let Dominic take a few offensive zone face-offs. Is that you just letting Leon dictate the play there? And have you ever given a player that much trust before?
We give our centermen trust like that all the time, depending on how the night's going, whether the face-offs going Dry's way or not. They've got some plays that they've worked on together as a line, and Cahoon has taken a lot of face-offs before, so you give them that latitude to be creative in the offensive zone, and we've created some chances off it. So, you trust all your players like that. If they got to play in an offensive situation, you want to try. I like to see that creativity.